All right, so welcome again, everyone. We're going to go ahead and get started. We've got quite a bit to go through today. So thank you all for joining us. This is the December 2020 Phoenix and San Diego Tableau User Group. This is the final TUG for each city for the remainder of the year. Thank you for taking time out of your day, evening, wherever you are, and spending with us. We know with everything going on, it's great to meet virtually, but there's quite a bit of competition with user groups meeting virtually. So thank you for choosing us. It really makes us feel really great. A little bit of housekeeping. Again, everyone is on mute. If you do have any questions for our presenters or panelists, please do use the Q&A box. If you want to say hello, praise us, or anything else, go ahead and use the chat box to communicate with one another. As indicated before, this session will be recorded and made available online on the Tableau's YouTube channel. If you don't have that link, I'll go ahead and I'll post that into the chat later today. And it will be included in the slide deck. We do make slide decks available, so information will be there as well. Today's agenda, we're going to go through some announcements and updates fairly quickly. We're going to do some engagement via some Tableau Trivia. We're going to get to know you a little bit better and get to know your knowledge on Tableau Public. So quite a bit of our presentations today are going to revolve around the Tableau Public platform, and we want to know what you know. About a quarter to the top of the hour, we'll probably take a quick 5-10 minute break or so. We'll come back and Matt will be presenting about his COVID-19 dashboard and how he was able to actually get that automated to update within Tableau Public. So maybe a little bit of trivia knowledge you might want to retain there. At 5:25 or so Pacific time, we're going to go ahead and turn it over to Charles, and he's going to be talking about streamlining dashboard and telling compelling stories. Great presentation lined up for that, so don't miss it. All right. If this is your first time joining us, not familiar, my name is Michael Perillo. I'm a leader of the Phoenix Tableau User Group. Been that since 2013. I've been using Tableau now almost a decade, and really well versed in all Tableau products from desktop to server and automation, you name it. So Matt, you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Matt Shoemaker, run the Tableau User Group here in San Diego. Founded the user group in 2010. And prior to COVID, we were, oh, sorry, someone said they can't hear anything. Can anyone hear me? Michael, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Let's see.
Okay. Yeah, so we've been meeting in person pretty much every other month prior to COVID. And at some point, obviously, we hope to be able to resume that. Until then, we'll try to fill up the meetings with Zoom calls. Really appreciate Michael reaching out about collaborating with cities, and makes it a lot easier. And this is a great format. We're able to reach a lot more people. So definitely looking forward to this meeting.
All right. Yeah, thanks, Matt. The virtual thing, while a little challenging and different at first, I think it allows us to really reach a wide audience. I already see within the chat there's people from all over the country, so that's amazing. All right, some announcements. Data Kids, if you have a young one in your household and you're looking to retire early and you want them to learn something about data and maybe get a good career education, this is the place to start. It's also great for those of you that are maybe just discovering Tableau or data visualization. And while this program, again, is focused for kids, usually in that early elementary, middle school age, 8 to 12 or so. There's a lot of great activities that introduce you to data visualization concepts, data literacy, and so forth. So do encourage you to take a look at this and get your kids engaged, excited about what data can do for them and you. Again, early retirement. Speaking of that, we've got Tableau eLearning. So if you're not already part of this kind of effort in learning more about Tableau, Tableau has released really their own platform for learning more about the product itself, as well as data analytics, data visualization. As you can see on the little badges there, there's a number of them that cross usually an organization, from your developers to your executive sponsors to your data scientists, community leaders, and so forth. So the e-learning platform is a great place to take advantage of all that learning. It is obviously a paid subscription, but at $10 a month per user, it's pretty low key on that. This is really around a lot of the same training education that you're going to get usually in an in-person. So if you're okay with virtual on-demand learning, give this a shot. I know we're all excited about Tableau certification. From a user group standpoint, we highly encourage this. If you're not into Tableau certification, that's fine, but please do check out the certification, at least the study guides. It's a great roadmap for learning about the product, what you should know and understand, so you're not having any of those gaps in product knowledge or data literacy. This will help guide you into ramping up your skills, and testing you. Do you know what you should know? Certification levels for desktop, there's 3 levels, specialist, associate, and professional. I recommend if you're just starting out, go through Tableau about 3 to 6 months. You should be ready for that specialist exam, really about foundational knowledge. Not a whole lot, of playing in the product, but at that certified associate level, we want you to kind of have some well-rounded knowledge. The professional exam is challenging. It is a lengthy exam. You're going to spend at least a couple hours in there doing a lot of hands-on activities, where it will be judged on what you design and how you interpret visualizations. So usually about 1 year to 2 years in is what the average for a certified professional. You do have to attain at least certified associate before you can actually attain any professional level. Those rock stars that know everything right off the hand, which is great, you still got to get the associate level first. Stay up to date on Tableau events. So if you go to tableau.com/events, there's tons of things that you can subscribe to and register for, mostly virtual today. But whether it's your local TUG or webinars or conferences, this is the place you want to check out for events. If you're not already part of the Tableau community, please do check that out. Go out to community.tableau.com. This is where you're going to engage with other data enthusiasts, ask questions, find solutions. Again, join a local Tableau user group, Phoenix or San Diego, preferably, or both. If you got any problems, there's knowledge base articles, forums where you can post questions and interact with people. This is the best place to go if you want quick answers. A lot of great content, a lot of good, useful information. Check that out, please. The Tableau Fringe Festival actually started today. It's going to run into tonight. This is a really cool event put on by Tableau enthusiasts all around the globe, community rock stars just like yourselves. Do check this out. If you can't get in live, no worries. This is a recorded event, and do go back and watch recordings from previous months and or years. Again, a lot of great stuff, whether you're just starting out or you're a seasoned veteran. A lot of good information, a lot of great content, tips and tricks, use cases, and so much more. So links right there, thefringefestival.rocks. If you're just starting out with Tableau, or you're pretty seasoned in Tableau and you're looking to maybe learn a new skill, please take a look at the Tableau Mentorship Program. You can go to mentoringmeetup.com. This is a program that was started by Tableau community users, just like you and me. As a mentee, or as a mentee, you can look to attain a mentor in certain topical areas, whether it's analytics, data science, design, automation, whatever it might be. There's a mentor out there for you. If you're already seasoned and you know what you need to know, but you'd like to help maybe someone just learning, this is also a great place for you, as they are also looking for mentors. So whether you're a mentee, a mentor, do engage. Go to mentoringmeetup.com and sign up. Another program launched by one of our Tableau community users, the Tableau Talent Finder. If you have been affected by COVID, or you know of someone that's been affected by COVID, recently lost a job or looking for work, or you're a company that might be looking to hire someone, go out to that Tableau Talent Finder. There's a form that you could submit, whether you're looking or you're hiring. All the information's there, really useful. So check that out. The link is there up on the screen. Again, bit.ly links are all case sensitive, so bit.ly/Tableau Talent Finder, all lowercase. For the Phoenix Tableau User Group, we've got multiple ways that we connect. We're very social on social media, LinkedIn, Twitter. We've also got a Slack group that we have where we collaborate. If you'd like to be part of that, do join us. Again, we've got another bit.ly link there, bit.ly/PhoenixTUG Slack. Just enter your email address to join. You'll automatically be entered. If you're not sure what Slack is, it's a great collaboration tool where we're able to share. You can see over on the right, little screenshot. It's got little topical categories, if you will. So we talk about data dev, certification, jobs, meetings, this and that. So another great place to connect with our local group here. And Iron Viz. So most of you might be familiar with Tableau Conference Iron Viz session. Well, this Iron Viz is the Student Edition. Student Edition has already commenced. Information is out there. So if you are a college student, we do want you to participate in this program. If you're within the Phoenix, specifically Arizona State University student, we want you to win. That being said, we do want participation and everyone to have a great success and luck. As a student, you do get Tableau Desktop, Tableau Prep at no cost. So if you weren't aware of that, that is a perk. If you are not a student, but you have a student in your household or know of one, do let them know. You can go to tableau.com/academics, and you'll find the information that if you're a student, how to go about and fill out the form, subscribe, and you'll get a notification back whether it's approved or not. But the Iron Viz is a great competition. Now again, Student Edition, that will take place and complete up on the 22nd of this month. So we don't have too much time left, but if you are interested and you want to know more about it, or you've maybe created something and you want some feedback, definitely reach out to any of your user group leaders, get some information. I know Christian Felix, the winner of this year's Iron Viz, him and Simon Beaumont did have a presentation today on really explaining what the Iron Viz Student Edition is. So we can definitely link to that video if you're interested. Did mention the Tableau conference. So the Tableau conference-ish, if you will, was held online this year. If you did miss out, no worries, you can still participate. If you just go out to tc20.tableau.com, register, you'll get a link, you'll be able to sign in and watch all of those sessions on demand. Same thing, a lot of great stuff. You can rewatch Iron Viz, Des at Desk, Data and Diversity, Data and Women, Fireside Chat, and Vizies, and so much more. We're going to talk about this in just a little bit, but Tableau Public Viz Gallery, pretty amazing. This was part of the Tableau conference. I'm not going to spend too much time on it because we are going to review it during the presentation. All right. One more important thing I do want to let you all know, data literacy is a very important skill set that everyone should have in every organization. And Tableau has really gone out of their way to provide a free foundational program for everyone. So do sign up for this. It's got a dozen or so hours, I believe, of free content, really focusing on the foundational elements of data literacy and basic statistics and things like that. So go out to tableau.com/learn/data-literacy. Sign up. Again, it is a free program. Evangelize that throughout your organization. And let's get literate with data. All right, good stuff. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I'll kick things off. Again, we're going to focus on the first presentation around Tableau Public. And rather than going through slides, I want to get everyone engaged and participate in this. So the way this is going to work is whether you're on your phone or on a computer, I want you all to go out to menti.com and you'll have a code that you'll enter. That code is 3606117. And then Matt, if you could maybe put this in the chat, maybe just for simplicity, that'd be great. So again, if you want to participate through your phone or the computer, either one works great. We're going to get started with this probably in about a minute or so, go through a couple more slides. But again, the website is menti.com, M-E-N-T-I. The code is 3606117. All right. So this year, Tableau Public is celebrating its 10-year anniversary, and a lot of great stuff has been going on for really the last couple months or so with all the stuff around Tableau. If you're new to kind of the Tableau Public arena, one of the places that I'd recommend is, checking out, the Viz of the Day, subscribing to that, learning more about our Tableau Public ambassadors. The ambassador program is pretty amazing. It's got some really amazing individuals from the data community across 6 different tiers, user groups, social media, Tableau Public, the forums, data dev, and a couple more I'll remember in a moment. One of the great things about Tableau is it allows you to showcase, your talents or your acceleration to, data visualization greatness. Seeing those steps that you're taking from just starting out to, where you end up, years from now. One of the things that we recommend people doing is, as you start with Tableau Public, is get on there with a resume. This link here on Tableau Public, Interactive Resume Gallery, gives you some great ideas how to really visualize your career, your education, that journey. So do take a look at that and participate in this. Make sure that this, your interactive resume, is put up on your Tableau Public profile. As I mentioned, we've got Tableau Public ambassadors. We've got a link here that we'll share with you. And this is what I was talking about earlier with the Tableau conference. Hit up visgallery.tableaupublic.com. You may be asked to register again. That's for the tc20.tableau.com. Once you're registered, you'll be able to enter this visualization gallery. It is immersive, so you'll be able to actually walk through the gallery just like you would any other type of real gallery in a virtual, almost VR kind of format. The dashboards or visualizations on the walls are interactive, so you can actually click on them, read more about who developed them, kind of the overarching topic, what it was about, and then link up to their Tableau Public visualization. Download it, explore it, figure out how it was made, those types of things. But do take a look at this. This is pretty special. And then we've also got some Tableau Public community activities. Again, we'll definitely revisit this towards the end, but get involved. This is what Tableau Public's really all about, your Makeover Mondays, testing your creative strengths within Tableau and building that creative muscle. The Workout Wednesday, this is a program that's designed to really enhance your technical capabilities in and around Tableau, reverse engineer dashboards, figure out new ways to do things. Iron Quest is a great program that really helps you mature your data visualizations in an effort to really compete at that Iron Viz level. Viz for Social Good, if you're into the philanthropy and giving back, social types of causes, this is a great program to get involved in. For those of you that are sports enthusiasts, Sports Viz Sunday, definitely want you to take a look at that. Exciting. And for those of you that are in the healthcare space, Project Health Viz, these are just some of the amazing community activities that go on weekly, monthly, and so forth. Put on by, again, just people like you and me contributing to the Tableau community overall. All right, so again, let's kind of go back here. We're going to get started with Tableau Trivia and understand where things, where your knowledge is. So go out to menti.com. The code again is 3606117. And I'm going to go ahead and kick this off, and we'll hopefully get some participation here. Looks like we got one. A few more. Good stuff. Give it another 15 seconds or so, and then we'll start. Again, if you're watching your screen, hopefully you can see it now. Go to menti.com. Code is 3606117. All right, so we'll go ahead and we'll start. And if you want to join, you can join in at any time. All right, so we're going to get to know a little bit about you. So we want to know where you are joining us from today. So city, state, that'd be great. All right. So people, Arizona, California, Georgia, Denver, or Fort Collins, Colorado. Cool. All right. Good stuff. Is this your first time at a Tableau User Group? Got some regular attendees. Great. Attended some. So for those of you that this is your first time, welcome. Again, thank you for taking time out of your day. Appreciate it. For those of you who attended some, again, we know attending these things is hard, but now that things are virtual, we hope that you look out for more of these types of events happening all the time. Good stuff. All right, so how long have you been using Tableau? Got quite a few, less than a year. All right, a number of you. Got some seasoned veterans too. Good stuff. All right. Any of you have any certifications? All right, got a few. Desktop specialist, good. Congratulations to those of you that accomplished that. So like I said before, if you don't have any certifications, that's fine, but please do check out the certifications website. They do have study guides. It is a great blueprint for learning all about Tableau and really kind of driving through in a great methodology.
So Michael, I had a quick question about that.
Sure.
How exactly do you take those exams? Can you do that anytime, or is that done a couple times a year, or only at the conference? How does that work?
That's actually a great question. So the first, for desktop, the first two exams, the desktop specialist and the associate's exams, are proctored online. So that means you're going to sit in front of your own home, in front of a camera, someone's watching you while you take the exam. I'm not going to get into all the nuances because we got to get through the quiz, but if you download the study guide, it does kind of go through what to expect. If you've never taken an online exam before, do read through it. Jump into some of those Slack channels or on the forums and get some feedback from users that have taken the exam. I think, you know, to take it online and to be watched and, you know, make sure that your whole space is clear of, free of anything, could be a little nerve-wracking. So yeah, the first couple exams are proctored. The professional exam is normally taken in person, just because, you know, the time commitments. It's a couple hours for desktop. For server, for the professional exam, it's a 7 to 8 hour exam. So it's rough. But like I said, do take advantage of those. Great. So those of you that are taking with Tableau Products, a lot of public, desktop, prep, good. Server, as I mentioned, I'm a server guy, so rock on. So mobile, nobody on data dev. That's unfortunate and sad. Hopefully, we can get you more engaged in Tableau data dev and what that means. If you haven't looked at it, or you're maybe a little hesitant, what is? Check it out. I'm going to plug it, developer.tableau.com. Go there after today's presentation, after we're all done, read about it, sign up, get a free Tableau online site, and learn all you can about data dev. You will be the rock star of your organization, and it will take you places you never dreamed. All right, so how familiar are you with data literacy? And remember, Tableau does offer the data literacy program, the eLearning program, at no cost. So for those of you that are just getting started or somewhat familiar, take a look at it. You data experts out there too, if you haven't already taken that, sign up, but share that with your teams, with your organization. Let's get everybody on the same page speaking, you know, all about data. Does your organization actively promote data literacy? And then I think this is a great opportunity for those of you that don't know, or they don't, be that person that drives it. You got the tools now. You can go out there, take the class, take some notes, share it with your teams, build a center of excellence out of it, get your promotion, get a raise, teach your kids to do this, retire early. It's a cycle. All right, well, good stuff. How many of you have a Tableau Public profile? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. I think you can change your answers. I want to see that nose go down. All right, so for those of you that do have a Tableau Public profile, great. If you don't, no worries. Again, we're going to go over that today. We do want you to sign up. This is a great platform for learning all about Tableau, data visualization. And those of you that promised, thank you. Appreciate that. All right, all the easy stuff's out of the way. It's time for Tableau Trivia. We're going to test your Tableau Public knowledge. The way that this works is we're going to go through a series of questions. The faster that you can answer a question correctly, the more points you get. Provided you are not a Tableau ambassador or a Tableau Zen master or former Tableau Zen master, you will win some Tableau swag. So stay at the end. We'll name off the winners. If you do win, please send me a note. I'll get in touch with you and you can exchange your address as I will send you something pretty amazing. All right, we ready? Let's do this. Oh, we got a lot of people. All right. Whoa, sorry. Let's hit the gun too fast. All right, question 1. How much does Tableau Public cost? Awesome. All right, it is absolutely free. There's no charge. So again, if you're learning Tableau, anything, this is the platform that you want. It does not cost you anything. So this is the difference between Tableau Desktop, the thing that many of you have in your organizations, and Tableau Public. All in all, very similar features. We're going to explore some of those today in this trivia, but there is no cost. Tableau Desktop Professional does have a cost associated with that. If you're in a team organization, Tableau is transparent with pricing. It's roughly $70 a month per user. All right. Next question. What year did Tableau Public debut? Now, if you were paying attention during the presentation, do some basic math. Hopefully everyone gets this. Absolutely, 2010. So we are celebrating the 10-year anniversary of Tableau Public. Very cool stuff. All right, third question. Which data connection is not supported in Tableau Public? And this is also where Tableau Public and Tableau Desktop differ. Tableau Desktop has hundreds of connections. Tableau Public, in all intents and purposes, has 9 variants of connections, mostly to flat files, PDF, Excel, JSON, text files, spatial files, statistical files. It can connect to web data files, which really unlocks things, Google Sheets, Access databases, but it cannot connect to enterprise data. So your cloud databases, Oracle, SQLs, it cannot do that. Tableau does have to find a way to make money, so they gotta restrict you somehow. All right. Tableau Public supports scripts for analytics extensions. So that's your R and Python. So if you're not doing R or Python in Tableau Desktop or Tableau Server, if you've got that, that is usually a connection that you have to create to some type of a server that will actually run Python and R. Now, while in Tableau Public, you can write out the scripts and it's available within those calculated fields. As you attempt to execute it, you'll get presented with a pop-up saying it is not supported in Tableau Public. It's a little misleading, I think. You know, you can actually write it and you can see it, but it doesn't execute. But they are nice enough to tell you it's not supported, and if you do want it supported, to upgrade to Tableau Desktop. So that's pretty amazing. So correct, the extensions with R and Python are not supported in Tableau Public, only Desktop. All right, next question. How much personal storage do you get with Tableau Public? And for those of you that have a few seconds and want to look, if you click on your profile icon in the upper right corner of Tableau Public, you'll find your answer. It is 10 gigabytes. Pretty amazing. That is quite a lot of storage for all intents and purposes, personal use. So that's that. Now there is no upgrade. If you need more space, you know, create another account. All right, next question. What is the data limit within Tableau Public? Is there a data limit? So in Tableau Desktop, you can virtually connect to any amount of data with billions of rows of data. You know, we've got some great products and partners like Exasol and Snowflake that allow you to visualize, you know, millions, if not billions of rows of data very quickly. And while Tableau Public, you know, essentially for all intents and purposes runs on the same platform, it is not an enterprise tool. If you're trying to visualize 15 million rows of anything within Public, it's probably time to upgrade to a Tableau Desktop and a Tableau Server or Tableau Online environment. But yes, 15 million rows is that data limit. All right, next question. User level security is available in Tableau Public. Is it? Now in Tableau Desktop and Tableau Server, absolutely, you can do that all day long. However, in Tableau Public, thus the word public, you can't implement any type of security. You can lock down your visualizations and you can prevent people from downloading the data. That is actually a great thing that Tableau Public has done. And once this is all over, I can kind of show you where you can do that if you're not familiar. But no, Tableau Public does not institute any type of row level or user level security. All right, let's get those points. We're coming to a close. Tableau Public supports a vast number of fonts. So for those of you that are very creative and love the creative artsy types of things, if you use those in Tableau Public, are they going to show up once it's uploaded? The answer is no, no. Tableau Public has a limited amount of fonts that they support. There is a KB article that actually tells you which ones are supported, and I believe it's something like 9 or 12 fonts. Now Tableau Server can potentially support more, as long as the font's installed on that server, whether it's Linux or Windows, and that same font is installed on your local machine. But Tableau Online and Tableau Public are limited. So if you need to be creative, take a picture of the font and use it as an image. All right, last question. This one counts. Tableau Public supports extensions. And for those of you that aren't sure what extensions are, you got a 50-50 shot. All right. Tableau Public absolutely does support extensions. So if you create your Tableau visualization and create a dashboard, you will see in your dashboard objects an extensions object. If you go out to extensiongallery.tableau.com, you're going to see all the available extensions that are out there. There is a little checkbox to filter by Tableau Public supported extensions. And again, if you're asking, well, what is an extension? It is pretty amazing. Pretty much anything. It could be an interface that talks to maybe other applications or custom visualizations, Sankey diagrams, or other kinds of charts, custom charts. Anything, just check it out. If you want to build your own extension, you're interested in it, again, go out to the developer program, developer.tableau.com. They're going to sign you up for free. You're going to get your own Tableau online site. You're going to get all the information to help you understand more about either development, automation, scripting, pretty much everything. Do check that out, like I said. So let's see who our winners are. And again, as long as you are not an ambassador or a Zen Master, Matt, you do not qualify. Subhash, as long as you're not a Zen Master or an ambassador, please do reach out and we'll get you some really cool swag.
Congrats, Subhash. Subhash is a longtime member. I would say he's probably been to 20 meetings over the years.
Love it.
Great contributor,
All right.
yeah.
So real quick, here's the extension gallery. Good stuff. Resume gallery. Good stuff. The fonts, like I said, you've got only a handful selected there. The 10 gigabyte limit, click on your profile, 10 gigabytes. Tons of facts, FAQs for you to go through, understand what's what. If you're not signed up, those people that said, no, you don't have one, or you will do one, go out there, public.tableau.com. It is free, doesn't cost you anything. So that's that. Let's see. I think we're gonna take a quick 10-minute break, or a 5-minute break, sorry. Looks like we're right on time. Let's come back at 4:50, and then I'll turn it over to Matt, continue the rest of the presentation. All right, it is that time. Matt, are you around? All right, so I will go ahead and hand it over to you. So Matt, thanks for everything, partnering the team up. Hopefully for all of you, this is kind of a fun event. Matt's going to be covering a pretty amazing COVID dashboard, but I think more importantly is how do we get this data to refresh? So Matt, you want to take it over?
Yeah, thanks, Michael. So actually, before I share the dashboard, I want to announce that someone earlier reached out to me and said that they work here in San Diego, someone I know from the Tableau community. She's attended the user group. She asked me not to announce her name yet, but her company is actually moving out of California, and she has to make a decision on whether to move to another city or look for another job here in San Diego or somewhere where she can work remotely and still live here in San Diego. So she's working on a resume, but she'll have that ready next week, and I'll announce it and post it next week and link to her name so that you can see that. But if anyone is looking to hire a Tableau Center of Excellence lead, she's a fantastic knowledge base in Tableau and has managed a team at a major tech company that everyone's familiar with for a long time, and is a fantastic person. So look for that, and if you have any positions that you know of available or at your company or another company, you can send those to me in the meantime, and then I'll forward that to her. And like I said, I'll be posting that next week, and she'll be posting it just regarding her availability and that she's looking for that. So yeah, I'll just jump into the COVID dashboard. And I built this COVID dashboard because I was looking really just for myself as the audience to understand the timing of when COVID hit different states. A couple of months ago, I sort of put together the story of my understanding of it, and I knew that New York had gotten hit, in March very heavily, and in that region as well, New Jersey. And then, as the summer went on, we heard about different states and different areas getting it. So I wanted to be able to visualize that and see exactly how that progressed, when it hit, when it ramped up, the difference between cases and deaths, and just to see, to be able to compare states and look and see the timeline there. So what I came up with is a couple of ways to just rank the data and sort it. The first one is just overall deaths, because it's a starting point. And obviously population plays a big role in this. So New York has almost 20 million people, Texas almost 30 million, and California almost 40 million. Those are the most populous states, Florida 21 million. So you expect these states to be at the top. And then we have it normalized for 100K population. So that normalizes it such that the bigger states aren't necessarily going to be at the top. And you can see the ranking there from top to bottom. So all the way down to Vermont at 86 total, and then 14 per capita, so per 100K. So you can click on the state and see the line. So this is New York. You can see that we have that March arrival here. And if you look at the axes, cases is here on the left side and deaths is here on the right side. So these use their own scale. This is 50 at the top here and only 7 at the top. And this is deaths and cases per 100K population. And it's the last 7-day moving average, so that it accounts for the latest week in total, which captures things as they ramp up or as they ramp down. So one issue with this way of looking at the data is that since we have these unequal scales here, you see a pattern that you would expect, which is the deaths trail the cases and they ramp up afterwards. But it looks like here, and it almost looks like there's more deaths than cases, which obviously is not the case, and that's because these different axes. So if you hover over the chart, you can see the log scale, in which case the scales are the same. So this one, the deaths are always lower than the cases, obviously, and you can really see the way that the deaths trail the cases, and see in this instance, at the very worst, at New York was seeing a little over 7 deaths per 100K. And that was on April 21st was the peak there. So 7 deaths, and in my way of looking at things, I was thinking, okay, well, this is we all know this was the worst case scenario when it first came in and it hit New York. That's kind of the baseline of what it looks like when it's really, really, really bad, right, at its worst. So you can see now looking at as recently as December 9th, yesterday, they're currently at 0.38 deaths per 100K in 51 cases. So a lot more cases even than they had, or I should say it's roughly the same number of cases that they had at the worst back in March, but considerably fewer deaths. So 0.38, basically 0.4 versus over 7 here. So about 15 times or so fewer deaths based on the rate. So then we look at Texas, the next state, and you can see here it didn't really hit much in March. There was a little bit ramp up in cases here. And then starting in June, you saw the real ramp up here. Went down quite a bit into the fall, and then started to ramp up again. Now, if you look at the cases and deaths here, it's nowhere near 50 per 100,000. And so right now is the worst, and it looks like it's 11, or sorry, let's get the latest number. They're at 41 cases per 100K at its worst. Actually, no, sorry, the worst data point's actually here, 45. But 0.6 deaths, so less than 1 death per 100K. And that, the worst in Texas was around here, which is about 1 death per 100K every day for a 7-day moving average. California, it hit about the same time as in Texas, but much lower. So if we wanted to compare these two, we can look at California and Texas here by selecting both of these. And now we can see overlapping that it hit roughly at the same time. The number of cases was capped lower in California, but has ramped up the last week or two here to be higher. And then the death rate also has been relatively low the whole time, about 0.2 or so per 100K. Texas had as many as almost 1 death per 100K, but now they're at about 0.5, or sorry, 0.6 here, 0.65. And then looking at New York and let's just say Florida, you can really see here, hit New York first, ramped up to almost the same degree, basically the same degree of cases, but later in the year. And then also ramping up here at the end here recently. But never, the deaths in Florida were never even 1 case per 100K, whereas you can see in New York it got up to 7. So I would assume that this is kind of New York was a little bit more blindsided, and that there was a lot learned in the medical treatment space in that time, so that by the time it got to Florida, there was a lot more mitigation there. And then also there's a lot of other factors such as comorbidities, which probably plays a factor in a lot of places when compared relatively. And the next thing I wanted to see was just what's happening recently. So this is the latest 7 days deaths per 100K. And you can see the colors. I have census division here showing the regions. And if we look at just a few regions, west, north, central, east, north, central, and mountain, it's by far the majority of cases currently. So you can see that there's that regionality. Now, I could have used a map for this, but there's a couple of reasons I didn't use a map. For one thing, I want the ranking here. Maps are not good for ranking. And also maps are, the states are different sizes unless you're using a hex map, which works around that problem. But if you're just using a regular map, where are coloring the states in based on some kind of value like this, Rhode Island is really small, so you can barely even see it there and differentiate it from the states around it. The other thing is I know where all these states are, so I don't need a map to tell me where Iowa is or South Dakota or anywhere. I know where these things are, so there's just no point in it.
Hey, Matt.
Yeah.
Real quick, we had a question about understanding the back end of the data, what that looks like. Can you talk through that maybe a little bit before you wrap up? Yeah,
absolutely. So what we have here is submission date is, so there's a couple files here. One is this COVID cases and deaths that I get from the CDC. And I'll go ahead and just jump and link to those. So yeah, if we look at the data sources tab, and this is on my Tableau Public now, the data is sourced from CDC. So the CDC has a lot of data sets available, not just for COVID, but all kinds of disease and death parameters, things like that. And you can export it here. So I've exported TSV. And there's also a REST API here that you can hit. It's based on the SOTA standard. So you can pull the data down for there. So that's where this data comes from. And it looks like this: submission date, state, total cases, confirmed cases, probable cases, new cases. And then just a little quirk about this data set is that New York City is actually separated from New York. So I had to combine those. I created a group in Tableau. Actually, no, you know what? I didn't create a group. I did it on the join. So you can see here in the join between the state's population file and the cases and deaths file, I'm doing a replace here because I don't have NYC in my states file. Obviously, I just have NY. So I'm replacing NYC with NY in that case. So that's one file. And then the other file is the estimated state populations for 2019. So you have to make sure you're getting the latest ones here, because if you get a regular census population, you're getting the 2010 numbers, which is the latest full census. So you can look at population estimates here, and there's API calls and files that you can download for these. So I just downloaded this file as a CSV, and I have it on my drive. And I'll get to the automation in a second, where I'll give all the details on where you can get the files and all that. So the other thing that I'm showing on the data sources page is the latest data point in the file altogether. And so that is this latest submission date for the data set. And that's just a calculation that just says, give me fixed across the whole file, give me the max submission date. So that's the latest date in the CDC file. And then the date when the data was published, I have to get this at the time of the extract. So when I extract the data, I want to know, and I know that my extract time and my publish time is the same, basically, because I'm doing it automatically here in a coupled format. So that is just calling get date from a SQL server that runs on this same machine. So if we look at that as a data source, that's just a custom SQL query here connected to my localhost server. And all I do is say select get date as get date. Now, if you use the built-in Tableau now function, then you'll get an extracted time. Or so when I first set this up, I thought that if I use the now function built in and I extract the data, that I would capture that timestamp in time and it would get materialized in the extract. But it turns out that's not the case. When you publish it up to Tableau Public, it doesn't just take that now that you called when you made the extract. It actually still evaluates it in real time on the server. So you just get whatever time it is now in Greenwich Mean Time. So the workaround for that is when I run the extract, it's making that call to my SQL server and calling get date. So then that actually materializes the exact moment that I actually refreshed the data when I re-extracted the data. So let me switch over to some windows and I can talk about the automation a little bit. Let's see, let me switch windows. Okay. Can everybody see the new window?
Yeah, it looks like a GitHub page or link.
Is it the slideshow automated Tableau desktop extract?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, so the files are all on GitHub, and there are, I think, 5 files on there. So there's the 2 data source files, the CSV and the TSV. There's the TWB workbook file, and then there are the two automation files. So the way this works is that I have a batch file, and the Windows Task Scheduler runs the batch file each day. And the batch file calls a VB script file that performs the automation. And the first step is to call curl to download the TSV file from the CDC website, and that just downloads it to a local folder on my machine that is the source of the data source for the Tableau dashboard. If you don't have curl, if you use Windows 10, curl comes with it. I believe it's already installed and turned on by default. If you don't have it, if you have another version, you can install Git, and it will install a curl application, and you can call it at that point. So I should mention this script is for Windows. There is almost certainly a Mac equivalent that you could develop and a Linux equivalent that you could develop for this. And actually, I'm 100% sure, because you could run a C++ or any application to do this very same thing. So what I'm going to show is Windows, but you could definitely port this to Mac or Linux. So it after it calls the curl application, now I have the latest file from the CDC. Then I open up the Tableau workbook programmatically, and it launches the application. And then I just send the keystrokes to refresh the extracts, publish the dashboard to Tableau Public, switch back over, because now you're going to be in the browser, switch back over to the Tableau Desktop application, and then close Tableau Desktop. So this can be run, again, like I said, through Windows Scheduler, but there is one limitation, and that is that you have to be logged in. So in order to send keystrokes, you have to have what's called an interactive Windows station, and that's the Windows, that's the Microsoft security term for the Windows station to which someone has logged in, and no other Windows stations can accept keyboard input. So if you have some kind of process that just starts in the background that doesn't have an interactive, that say runs when you're logged out, just runs automatically in the middle of the night, that will run, but it won't do the keyboard input part. And that's because of Windows security. Obviously, you don't want to be able to write a script that runs an application and enters keys without somebody being logged in. Now, there is a workaround to this, and I'll talk about that. So if you want more information about the Windows station, how that works, you can see here, the interactive Windows station is the only Windows station that can display a user interface or receive user input. It is assigned to the logon session of the interactive user and contains keyboard, mouse, and display device. So I'm going to show you a way to send keys, but there are other ways to send keys as well, but none of them will get around this. Now you can use a remote desktop session, and I'll talk about that. So looking at the files, so here are the files on GitHub. The bat file is it really just all it does is change directory and then call the script. And the script looks like this. So the first step is I'm just defining that the app is going to be curl, and that this is the URL. So this is the URL that I got from the CDC site. And this is the type of URL that when you click it, it starts the download process and opens up a dialog to save as on your file. So if you're using this method, you want to make sure that you're getting that file that prompts, you're getting that URL that prompts the download, not just one that displays a table in an HTML window. You can download that data, but you just have to use another method. And then this is just standard VB scripting. So you can create an object, which is a Windows shell, and you can, in this case, call the run method. The app is curl. The URL is the CDC's URL, and then -o for output, and then the file location. So this is where I drop the file. And this is what I want to name it. You can name it whatever you want. So the next thing is to open the Tableau workbook. So instead of curl as the app, now I'm just using the Tableau workbook file as the app. And I'm running that. So I'm just calling the shell object, creating a shell object, calling it with that workbook path. And then I wait for the workbook to open. So in this case, I'm waiting 40 seconds. Now, it usually opens in about 5 to 10 seconds. But there are some use cases on this particular machine where, especially if I'm doing database work, that I've used up a lot of RAM and stored a lot of stuff in RAM, and then it actually takes a lot longer to open the workbook. So I put 40 seconds just to be sure, but usually I sit around for 20 seconds waiting, just waiting for nothing. So you could definitely lower that. And then once Tableau is open, then I just send the keystrokes. So Alt-D, X refreshes your data extracts, refresh all extracts. And then I hit enter twice. And then Alt-S-W is to publish publish a workbook to your server. And then I tab twice and hit the space bar. Then I tab enter. So that just goes through the dialogues. Do you want to overwrite the file? And then this actually doesn't work, but for some reason, numlock gets turned off whenever you send keystrokes. And you can't send a keystroke afterwards to re-enable numlock. There's probably a method that will work for this, and I can run a script that just turns the numlock off 4 or 5 times in a row without any problem. But for some reason, I can't get it to turn numlock back on at the end of the process here. And then it switches over, like I said, now you've published it to workbook, so you're in a browser. Now you need to switch back over to the Tableau application, and that's going to be this app activate. So you can actually this is the name of the application, which would be the name that appears on the menu bar. Let's see. I thought it was what was on the menu bar. Now it says COVID-19 cases. Yeah, so this might be the name of the process or something. I forget exactly which name this has to match. But you switch over to it by activating the window. Then I wait a few seconds, and then I just Alt F4, which closes the window. So I'll go ahead and run it here. And just run it from, and let me close the workbook just so it's not open. So I'm just running the script, and actually, let me show you the VP. Yeah, so the batch file just changes to a directory and then calls the VBS. That's all that the batch file does. And then the batch file is set here to run at noon every day. And there is one little thing to be aware of if you haven't messed with the task scheduler a lot. And that's when you start a program, just a little quirk, your program script, which is your path to your file, batch file in this case, it has quotes, but the start in does not have quotes and won't work if you use quotes. So just a little quirk to be aware of. So I'm going to run this one. And so it's calling the curl application to download the file. And now it's got the latest file. And now it's going to launch a COVID workbook. And yeah, so Tableau COVID is the name up on the application bar up there at the top. And that's the handle that you use to get back to the window once you're over at the browser. So now I'm waiting for that 40-second delay. Again, it opened up in a few seconds because I've opened it recently. But if I haven't opened it for a while and I've done a lot with other applications, it may take good 30 seconds or so to fully load, depending on whether it has to dump memory or whatever it's doing. Okay, so now it's going to do the Alt-D-X. It's refreshing the extract. It's waiting a few seconds. It's going to close that dialog. Now it's going to Alt-S-W, I believe is the publish workbook. And now it's just going to automatically go through the dialogues. It's publishing it up to the browser. It'll open it in the browser, waits about 2 seconds, and then goes back over to Tableau and closes the application here. So now if we check our data sources, we can see that we just published because we just recreated our extract at 5:15. So we have that latest timestamp. So,
and just for overview, the reason why you're doing this way is because Tableau Public does not have an automated way to keep that data fresh.
that's right. So my understanding is that currently a Google Sheet, if used as a data source, can be updated once a day, can be set to update once a day on the Tableau Public server side. So for Google Sheet, you can get an update once a day, but if you use any other data source, then you cannot have it refreshed automatically. So Michael, you talked a lot earlier about Tableau Public when you were referring to the Tableau Public application, which is a separate application than Desktop, sort of a stripped down version that supports only a certain number of data sources. But because I'm using Tableau Public, or because I'm using Tableau Desktop, I can use whatever data sources I want, and I can publish it up to public because I'm extracting it. So as long as you're doing an extract, you can have whatever data sources you want, including the full set of available data sources here. And then, like I said, I'm just extracting it. So as long as you're extracting it, then you can get it up to Tableau Public regardless of what the source is.
Yeah, this is great. It definitely feels, like a lot, but with the limitations with Tableau Public, it's still a great platform. You can do a lot, but if you do need data for whatever reason to be refreshed on a cadence, as Matt said, if you use Google Sheets, it does update once a day. You have no control over when that time is. But Matt's got a pretty much out of the box plug and play solution. If you don't know how to code, it seems like it doesn't matter. You can kind of just dump it into your Windows, maybe change some of the file names,
yeah,
to your workbook, wherever that workbook is stored. I think you had that one TWB in there. You put your own, if you're downloading data or you got an extract locally.
Yeah. Yeah, and if you're not using a file and you're just using databases, then you don't even need this first step to download the file. You would just refresh your extract. And when I first did this, I used the server publish workbook menu. And then the next dialog is, do you want to overwrite? Do you want to save this? And then, say yes. And then it'll say, do you want to overwrite? Yes. But I realized since then, you can actually go straight to server Tableau Public. So I think you could do an Alt-S, Control-Shift-S, and there's just, if you wanted to send a Control-Shift-S using send keys, you would just use, instead of the %, you use whatever it is for Control and Shift. But you could definitely do the three key combination there. So that would even be more straightforward, but just a different way of doing it. And I think it is a fairly major limitation that you have to be logged in for this, right? Because it'd be nice to run this in the middle of the night and just have it work. And yes, you can leave your computer unlocked, and maybe if you're at home, that would be fine. But obviously in a work environment, production environment, that's not a good practice. So one thing that you can do is, so when I say locked out, I mean like you've logged yourself out of Windows. So when you reapproach your computer, you have to type in your password and launch again. So now you have another interactive session, or that interactive window station, as they call it. What you'll find actually is that if you run this and you're not logged in, it will launch Tableau. That's fine. And when you log in, you'll see that Tableau got launched, but it won't have sent any of the keys. So it won't have done the extract refresh or the republish. So there's a limited, it's really not going to be able to do what you want if you're not logged in. However, if you are logged in remotely using either Remote Desktop or LogMeIn or any other login that creates an interactive window station, then you can run it even though your machine that it runs on is locked. So for instance, I'm here in my office, I can lock my machine and I could go out and I do this on the weekends, because on the weekends, I'm not at my desk at noon like I am during the week. So what I do is I just use Log Me In on my phone to create an open session with my computer here at work. And I do that. I have a reminder on my calendar to do that before noon. And I just open up Log Me In. And then because I had that session, that remote session, even though if you were to be at my desk here, it would look locked. There is that remote interactive window station that's accessing it now. And now you can send those, and the keys will send. So you'll see that, if you're watching it remotely, either using remote desktop or Log Me In, you'll see the automation happen. So in a production environment, you could definitely do this where you just leave a, let's say a remote desktop session. You just leave that open to the target computer, and you can lock your computer. You can lock the one you're standing at. And even though your computer is locked, that session will still be live to that remote server. And to the remote server, it looks like there's a person logged in, even though at the actual machine here, no one's logged in. So that's a workaround that you could do in a production environment, assuming that you have a Bastion server or some other server you could use just for this purpose. Because what this looks like on my side at noon every day, and I have a reminder, hey, this is about to go off, I just step away from I take a step back and let the automation run, and it looks just like what it looked like for you. But this is also something that updates in 5 minutes. If this was something where extracting the data took 8 minutes, I wouldn't want to just sit here for 8 minutes and not being able to use my computer while it did all of that. So if you wanted to take it a step further, what you could do actually is, the way I'm doing it right now, I'm opening up the window using a shell object and sending keystrokes. That requires it to be the active window. So if I'm working on something and it launches and I say, okay, well, I need to switch back to another call or switch back to another application, the keystrokes are going to get sent to that other application, and you don't want that. So what you could do actually is, if you use Windows API calls instead of send keys, then you can actually send keystroke down and keystroke up events programmatically. And you can direct them at a window in a process that's not the active window. So you could actually run that whole thing in a minimized window where you don't have to see anything, but it's still able to send the keystrokes because it's using that other method. So there is a way to do that, and that would be nice, because if you had something that took a couple minutes to update, and you have to build in some padding on these delays, on these sleep times, to make sure that as your data gets bigger, the extracts are going to take longer, but you don't have to just wait and watch your screen do that. That could all be done in a minimized window behind the scenes. You could even run it headless, potentially, where the whole thing just runs in a VM or something, and you never.
So really,
never
this is a sneak peek into just the tip of the iceberg on automation, making it look like you're actually doing work at work when you could be watching Netflix or something.
Now, when they notice that your work seems to be on a keyboard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's good. I do like the kind of like the headless activities. Do the things in the background.
Yeah, and you just do it similarly. You would just create a script, and you'd have the window handle, so that you make sure that your application is switching to that handle, and it's sending its keystrokes to that handle, which don't have to be the active window. So yeah, you can definitely do that.
Great. So I know we got about a minute or two left. Eric had posted a question, I guess more in relation to your dashboard.
Yeah.
I don't know if you had a chance to look at that, but he's asking, what's your hypothesis with the states having more deaths per 100,000? Is there any correlation with less restrictive mask policies or demographics that have more underlying conditions?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't have any data on that. And yeah, there are definitely two great hypotheses. I mean, looking at California in particular, um, I would say there's probably fewer comorbidities in California, just looking at the population, knowing that there's a lot of, health conscious people, there's a lot of opportunities to exercise year round here, things like that. I mean, this is just anecdotal, but I would say that that's probably somewhat of a factor. And in terms of the mask policies, I don't know. I have seen dashboards. I'm not sure if they were, I don't think they were necessarily Tableau dashboards, but I have seen some that have shown a timeline or like a Gantt chart or timeline that shows some markers of when policies were put in place. But I have never seen any of those that I've looked at. I've never seen any kind of correlation. And I think there's just too many variables at play. Because, obviously a policy is one thing, but if it's not enforced or if it's unenforceable or whatever, then it may not come into play. And so Eric, do you have any other questions about that? I'll just give you a chance to follow up on that. But I'll mention too that I added these little images here. So you can see these up and down arrows. These are just images. And you can also see that this text here is sort of very close to the word state here. So this is actually just a little difference in Tableau Desktop and in Public that you need to be aware of, that things can actually get moved around on the screen a little bit when you publish it. So if I look at this in Public, you can see that the spacing here is vastly different than what the spacing looked like in my desktop, where the spacing was really close, the U's was really close to the E here in state. So switching back here, you can see it's all very close, but what it looks like in Public is like this. And then same with these arrows. So here you can see the arrows go into the gray in the vertical scroll bar here, but in Public, they line up nicely within the gray here. And just one FYI on these, you have to grab these from the bottom because that image is not grabbable. So I left a little bit of space there at the bottom where you could grab that. But that was just some guidance because a lot of times, especially the vertical scroll bars, it's not always obvious that there's a scroll bar to me, just based on how the gray looks here by default. I'm not sure if that's formattable in any way, but that would be good to be able to adjust that just to make it more visible.
Now, I did notice too that the fonts in your Tableau Desktop title do differ than the ones that are in Tableau Public. So that was one of the things that we talked about. Make sure that you are using a supported font that's available on Tableau Public. Otherwise, Tableau Public will default to whatever it thinks is best, or if there is a default font in fact, which I guess it might be like a Times New Roman or something.
Yeah, and that's interesting because the Tableau Public one looks a little bit fancier. If I was to say COVID-19 cases, and then this one, I think maybe it's just because it has some serifs. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. All right, so I do see some questions in the chat. I will take those offline so we can get to our next presenter. But again, this was why we talked about this. Tableau Public does not have API capabilities like Tableau Desktop, Tableau Server to automate all this stuff. So this was a really great hack alternative to making your data refreshed using Tableau Public. So pretty amazing.
Thanks, Michael. And now we will turn it over to Charles Sutton, who's also a longtime contributor to the San Diego group. And he is going to talk about how to tell compelling stories with data.
Thanks, Matt. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and here. Okay, so today we're going to talk about getting the message in your data to stand out. So I am absolutely consumed with the consumers of data. I'm a business analyst by trade. I've worked in the business industry for over 15 years. I've also worked in healthcare, digital marketing. So I've worked with many different stakeholders in my career. And early in my career, I was a dashboarding machine. I was pumping data from SQL Server, pushing it through Tableau, and everybody got a dashboard. Everybody had dashboards. They had data at their fingertips. But what I learned over time is that just because you put data out in front of people, it doesn't always mean that they completely understand the message behind the data. So you're working with somebody who is on this journey of, data literacy is a buzzword. Really data storytelling is critical to being able to communicate with data. So I've been absolutely consumed with, not how do I get data and put it into something. I can do that all day long. But how can I change that data in order to educate and influence others to do something based on the data that I've showed them? So really going to go through kind of a lecture style PowerPoint here and let you know who I am, a little bit about some of the work that I've done, who are the people that I follow and have helped guide my my understanding of storytelling and data literacy. And then I'll use a couple examples towards the end from our very broad Tableau community where I go and I learn how to kind of create data and try to make my story stand out. So who am I? Charles Sutton. We were talking about the Tableau Public. I'm very active on Tableau. I'm almost self-trained in Tableau. I wanted to get into Tableau, but everybody was still in Excel. I wanted to find an opportunity to really get out and expand my Tableau skills so I could get roles using Tableau more frequently. I learned about Tableau Public probably about 7 years ago, and I'm active in there as much as I can be. You can see here I have 41 vises, 52 followers. So, a light profile. There's people that have way more followers out there than I do. But, for me, it was that opportunity to get my hands dirty. I found a data set on things like Kaggle, Google, anywhere online you can get a data set, publish it into Tableau Public and get started. Just from this view here, you can see I have multiple different kind of things that I have worked on. The circled Tableau dashboard is I was chosen for a Viz of the Day a couple months ago. And so you can see that Viz of the Day. And the Viz of the Day is basically the best Tableau data visualizations on Tableau Public for that day. And I got awarded with a Viz of the Day for this San Diego pollution data visualization. But you can also see I've done things on police brutality, my background. You can see I'm into sports, crime trends, and then needed a consumer complaints dashboard for my interviews. So that's something else that I definitely want to promote. Get on Tableau Public. And your skills in Tableau visualization especially will grow exponentially, as it's done for me. And if you ever go to check out my profile, you can even see some of the things that I started with and see the journey that I've been on. Now, some of my interests are, I'm interested in local topics. So in order for me to expand my Tableau skills and improve my data visualization techniques, what I've tried to do is make something more relevant, visualize topics that are important to me and locally that I can relate to. And so some of the topics that I've worked on is coronavirus. If you haven't done a coronavirus visualization, then you're missing out on one of the hottest data sets of the century. Everybody's talking about it. It's everywhere, so you can build something. This was the story about spreading in San Diego this is around April. Now, Matt, whom I work, I'm very closely partnered with here in San Diego. What's cool about his dashboard is it updates daily. I don't have those technical skills that Matt has, although I'm sure if I put in the time and the effort, I could get there. But again, I'm more focused. Those are the tech guys, and I'm the visualization guy, right? Just influencing and educating. And something you'll notice is I'm very kind of sparingly using colors to highlight and grab attention. And I'll talk a little bit more about that as I go through some of the later examples. I have an environmental science background, so environmental impacts in the local region are important to me. Here I did kind of a breakdown of the most polluted waterways within San Diego to give a little bit of backstory and also to promote one of our local volunteering groups, I Love a Clean San Diego. I try to get out there once a year and keep our oceans and our beach waterways clean. Again, sparing use of color, just kind of popping out what's important, where there's areas of opportunity, and then using text to provide context of, well, what was a possible driver? You know, something interesting that you had asked Matt earlier is, well, what are some of those drivers that are happening with, you know, states that have higher per capita rates than others? You know, it's a good opportunity to use titles, subtitles to call out and provide context and really guide people through that journey as you're building out Tableau dashboards. And then last but not least is crime. Crime data sets are just are available in every city. You know, I'm a father. I have a 5-year-old, married. You know, crime is on my mind a lot of the time, and so I got an opportunity to get a crime data set, bring it together, daily crimes, and then you can see, you know, where do certain crimes happen throughout certain days. You know, where theft and larceny happens anywhere between 12 and 7 here in San Diego. A DUI is going to happen a little bit later, you know, in the wee hours, the later hours and the wee morning hours, right? That color really guides and brings attention to what's important about this data set. So that was just a little bit of the work that I've done in Tableau Public, and you know, we talked about Tableau Public here. We've covered it, and I'm you know a living breathing example that if you jump on Tableau Public, you start pumping some data in there, and you start building some things, your next data visualization is going to be better than your last one. Now, why am I so consumed with data visualization? Why is it important to me? Well, again, I've been going kind of, you know, fumbling through the last few years building data visualizations, and I'm just not influencing my audience as much as I would like to. So I really started to dig deep on how do you get adoption of your data visualizations to a point where it influences, educates, or even influences people of what to do. So I want to take you through a couple of people that have inspired me, and I would say, you know, are pioneers on the forefront of how do you use data and communicate it with it effectively. So one of the first people that you know, grabbed my attention on the way that you talk about data is this gentleman, Avinash Kaushik, and if you don't know who he is, he's the he works at Google and he's the data evangelist. His quote here is, "It's the think before the ink. Spend 95% of your time defining your problem and 5% of your time trying to solve it." You know, when I build my data visualizations, the first thing I think about is, who am I building this for? I'm going to bring in a bunch of data. I'm going to shoot it through a pipeline, and then I'm just going to display it, and insights aplenty are going to pop in the minds of my audience. That's not really how it works. Spending a bit more time before you even get into the data and getting into Power BI and getting to know the people in the audience that you're building for will help you build a more effective data visualization that communicates to your general audience. More importantly, your intended audience. Next person I'll talk to is, if you don't know who Edward Tufte is, then quantitative display of information, I'd go get it right now. But I would assume that anybody that is kind of even has any interest of Tableau has heard of Edward Tufte, the godfather, if you will, of data visualization. And his advice is, you know, I've quoted him here, is confusion and clutter are failures of design, not attributes of information. So while we take lots of data and pipeline, or pump it through pipelines and put it into a data viz, the way that it is designed will help your audience get insights better than other ways that may not be preferred design. Stephen Few is, if you work in the business world, is a pioneer in terms of data visualization dashboards, so the design of information. And so he tells about, you know, numbers have an important story to tell. But it is up to us, the business analysts, the data designers, to give them a clear and convincing voice. Again, you can't just take data, pump it through a data visualization and publish it and expect people to be able to make decisions from it. You really have to collaborate with them, understand their business, their point of view, the way that things, processes run, and then take that data and create a story that really compels your audience with the information that you're providing. Anybody who has ever attended one of my local data viz groups know that I'm a big proponent of Cole Nussbaumer-Knaflic. She wrote a book called Storytelling with Data, and I ate that book up. I recommend it to anybody who really wants to just simplify your data communication and highlight what's important in it. And that's exactly what she says here. Concentrate on the pearls, the information your audience needs to know. Anything else is extraneous. So as the designer, you got to know what are you trying to inform or educate them upon, and then highlight that information from the data set. And then finally, Nancy Duarte, who I wanted to get better at building PowerPoints once upon a time. And then I brought that thought of, okay, well, I want to build a compelling PowerPoint. I also want to build a compelling data visualization. And so she's a pioneer of how do you communicate through PowerPoint and data visualization in general. And what she would say is the only difference between the failure of a great idea is in the way in which it was communicated. So those are just a few people that, and I left tons of people out. And I'm not even talking about the Tableau community, the Ben Jones of the world, the Ryan Sleepers, the Andy Kriebels, the Steve Wexlers. You know, I'm just dropping names, right, at this point, just to show that I'm very involved in this Tableau community. I'm very passionate about, and I didn't give nearly enough credit to the people who deserve it, that are really pioneering better data communication. So now I'm going to move on to, okay, let's talk about this concept of pulling the message out of a complicated data source. So here's a big set of letters, and in here, there is a word that I want you to find. So the word is message. Just take a moment, maybe write in the chat when you found it. Okay, now how long did that take you? All right, just think about it. You don't have to tell me the answer, but if you found it, how long did it take you to find it? Well, the first principle that I want to talk about when you're trying to highlight your data story is you got to find the story. You got to begin by defining the story you want to tell. And again, only by knowing your audience and the people consuming the data will you know exactly what to show them and what to tell them. In this case, I wanted to tell you message. Did you see message in a pile of letters that was there? Now it's pretty easy for you to pull out the word message, right? Because I highlighted what I told you, what I wanted you to read. Now the next step would be highlight what's important. Now, while I highlighted the box, there's still a lot of letters, and right, and it's still black, so it did not stand out as much as it could by just highlighting the word itself, right? So now it drags your eye to exactly what the audience, you want the audience to see. Lead them through a journey, right? You are their guide through the data world, and it's your job to lead them to where you want to go. And then the third tip I'll give you is exclude what isn't important. De-emphasize anything that is not important that will distract your audience. Be clear in your mind what you're trying to communicate to them, and then take away anything that detracts from that communication. So in this case, what I did is I de-emphasized all the other letters, so the only thing that stood out was message. Now notice I didn't take them all away, I just de-emphasized them so the message would stand out. So that's a little bit about the concept of, you know, it's really three things, is to understand what you want to say, really show what you want, and then simplify by de-emphasizing all the rest of it. So the first thing I'll say is know your audience. Again, I'm not jumping right into Tableau here and you build Tableau with this. Tableau will let you build any of these visualizations, but as dashboard designers, I want you to stay very focused on the fact that you are trying to educate or influence. Which first thing is to get to know your audience. So how do I get to know my audience? I always recommend the 5-step design thinking process. These are how like iPhones were built and how you build technology that is very user-centric. And so I took that same concept and idea and I brought it right into dashboard design. And so the first step in the design thinking process is learning about your audience, user interviews, shadowing sessions, you know, notes and feedback, surveys, anything you can do to understand how you can connect the data with the people that are going to consume that data. And that's really the part that I want to focus on here, is that in this process, it was not jump into a tool, start building something, start extracting data. It was talk to the people, get to know the people. The more empathetic you can be towards your audience, the better data visualizations you can build. That's period. There's a direct correlation to the more time you spend with the people, with your audience, and the design and style that is adopted by the audience that you're delivering it to. And then once you know the audience, you can start building things out, defining models, right? Prototypes, wireframes. Then you can build out concepts and start trying new ideas, right? Build out something that's a bit more physical that people can play with, give you feedback, really understand, and then test your ideas. And it's a 5-step process where multiple times you're re-engaging your audience and getting feedback from them. And if you don't have an audience to engage, you know, you could always go to your friends, your peers, review things with them, but always be trying to get feedback to improve and to make the message relevant to your audience. So now that I've kind of set up, you know, why it's important for you to visualize data, who are some of the pioneers and who are promoting the need for better data visualization techniques, the design process that will allow you to empathize with your audience and really understand what to build for them. I want to try to talk about a few live examples that have been worked on by the Tableau community. So let's talk about the anatomy of a good bar chart. This is a bad bar chart. Now, it's got some very good concepts to it in terms of how they cleaned up the axis lines, the breakdown of the segments of age, health condition, and sex. It's got sourcing, and it has a title. So I wouldn't say it's a horrible bar chart, but it's definitely not the ideal bar chart. And here's the reason why. As we're talking about death rates and fatalities, this is a very scary bar chart. And if you're putting this in front of people, they are left to their own devices to determine, well, how does this impact me? What does this mean to me? And how much is this, you know, like versus a population? Matt made a great reference earlier about COVID on, you know, keeping it relevant, but also normalizing the data. So it's not as shocking, right? And it's more truthful. Now, Andy Cotgreave, if you don't know who he is, that's another name drop for you to write in your list of people to follow and learn more about data visualization and design. But he did a critique of this same graph and redid it to change the perspective of what are we talking to and who are we talking to reduce the amount of alarm that story could have told to anybody reading the bar chart. And so some of the principles that make this good is, first, the use of color, right? In the prior one is multiple color points that kind of overwhelms the consumer, can create confusion or anxiety. Where this is a bit more subdued and still tells the same information. I really appreciate the title that is used up here. Survived is highlighted as the same color as the bar chart, so you can follow along through this visual and really understand, what are you looking at? You're looking at survived and what percentage of those age groups, right? Before, 70 to 79, 60 to 69, you might be sweating it, right? Oh my goodness, I am getting older, I am going to die. Well, my chances versus the entire population, not so bad, right? Again, who's your audience? Who are you talking to? And what makes it clean? Okay, and one thing I want to say is you can improve these skills with an online workout Wednesday, makeover Monday. That is where I learned a lot of these techniques. And Andy Cotgreave is highly involved in these makeover Mondays and workout Wednesdays. And so you can learn these same concepts from experts in the field just by going to a website and kind of trying out some of their techniques. And then finally, I just wanted to talk about one last slide here. This is during the police shootings. And so there's a website of data out there on terms of police brutality and where it's happening and what races it's happening. And you can get a ton of information. And this was a basic bar chart that I found out there on the web that shows, what was the breakdown of race by the police shootings. Now, nothing wrong with this. It's kind of, colors, it shows you race. I would say that the races aren't exactly relevant to the colors. I would say that there's not much story being told here, black, white, but what about it? What's compelling? What's alarming, right? What should I worry about? What's the story? What am I supposed to be taking away from this visualization? With just a little bit more time, editing, titling, right? You can really now show the story and kind of show where things are getting impacted. So in this one is the same breakdown, but this is blacks, Hispanics, whites, and other populations, other demographics. So here, right now, the story really sticks out that, the black population in terms of police brutality, police shootings is more impacted than any other demographic in this visual. And so your eyes are directly brought to, right, the color of, oh, that's important. The labeling around the side here makes it very easy to understand what you're reading. And then, something as simple as a text box with some callouts, some bolding can make a data visualization easier to consume, easier to understand, and influence the audience by just a few design techniques. So know your data story, highlight what's important, and then de-emphasize anything else that distracts from the story. And if you want to get better at this sort of stuff, then I just want to show you that here's a list of references, inspirations, and experts where you can get better at data visualization. And again, like I said, if you practice frequently, then your next data visualization will be better than your last data visualization. So that's the end of my presentation. Are there any questions that I can answer for the group?
That was pretty amazing, Charles. So I threw in a couple links, to Andy Cotgreave's, web series, If Data Could Talk. That last chart was actually pretty amazing, kind of the Marimekko example. So that is pretty powerful because it definitely shows, more variables within your data. It paints a much better picture, and I like how you emphasized, that first. Definitely, great visualizations there. As far as like advice, so some of the charts that you're showing, when we look at them, it's like, oh, okay, like you said, it's not horrible. It kind of just tells you what it is. But when you see the data in this light, it really makes you think. What would you say for advice to, skill build in this direction? How did you get from, maybe even creating those types of charts to getting to this point? What was that journey like?
Yeah, again, I'll go back to promoting Tableau Public. That's where I've done, for me, data visualization is a lot like math. You just have to wash, rinse, repeat, try again, and it just gets better over time. So if I take you back to my Tableau Public here, I started off, here's like some of my earlier work. You can see, it's a lot of data, but just kind of thrown into like a scatter plot or a data table. And as you progress through, this New York Times bestsellers, that was my attempt at a data iron viz. Didn't win, didn't get close, but I tried. and I learned a lot of new techniques. And then I took that next technique to something else, Viz for Social Good and the Global Peace Index. Then I went and I did another, I did a Makeover Monday, and I tried a hex map and tried to, and so you can see that practice makes perfect. Getting a data set, getting on Tableau Public, and really practicing these techniques. Makeover Monday was one of my favorite, or one of my favorite things to visit when I've got the time to get over and just stay up to date on what's the most relevant data viz techniques and what's important to what's important to learn when it comes to data visualization. Data Viz Society, I did something for the Data Viz Society. And then the last thing I would say is I mentioned a lot of books. I go to a lot of websites. If you want to get good at data visualization, there's not a lot of people that are going to push you to learn that. You have to have a passion and ambition to want to get out there and visualize data better, because you know that there's insights hidden in there. And if you could just tweak your visualization a little bit better, then you can influence and educate more people. Does that answer your question, Mike?
Oh yeah, definitely. Thank you.
Sure. So I'll go ahead and hand it back over to you guys and let you close it out, Mike.
All right. Thanks again, both of you. Let me go ahead and I'll share my screen here, and we'll kind of close out. So some Tableau resources. Again, we'll share all this, but if you are working with healthcare data or COVID stuff, or you're just really interested in exploring a ton of data, Tableau does have a COVID data hub out there filled with already pre-canned workbooks that you're available to download, or data sources that you can actually tap into, start creating visualizations off of. We're going to list out all virtual community events. So I put a link in the chat for our YouTube playlist. So please check that out. This recording will be posted on there within the next day or so. You'll be able to rewatch it over and over and over again. That'll be fantastic. A couple other links. We've got the Tableau eLearning we talked about, and then If Data Could Talk web series, linked to Tableau Public, and much more in there. Here's our links, how to connect with us. Phoenix, we're on Slack, Twitter, LinkedIn, email. There's our user group landing page. There's for San Diego. Matt, this was, again, incredible. I thoroughly enjoy all these team ups. This is for Phoenix, the last one of the year. We will be ramping up again for 2021. For those of you that are in the Phoenix area, potentially excited and interested, maybe even participating in the Tableau User Group, either as a leader or a contributor, we will be putting out some information. We'll be trying to rebuild our leadership team. So if you're interested, again, subscribe to our LinkedIn page, Twitter, follow us on Slack, however you want to do it. That information will go out, but we do want to get you engaged and onboarded.
Awesome.
Matt,
Thanks, Michael.
Thanks.
Yeah, I just want to say the same thing. If you're in the San Diego area, you want to be involved, either presenting or helping run the group, or anyway, I think with the Zoom format, these are becoming a little bit less localized, but nevertheless, just getting the word out there to San Diego-based people that we'd love to see your contributions.
All right, good stuff. So Matt, Charles, thank you both. Thank you to everyone for participating. Have a great holiday season. If we don't talk to you again, we will see each other next year. Have a good night,
Awesome.
everyone.
Thanks, Michael. Thanks for
you.
setting this up. This was fantastic.